gospel. And we said John just chooses 7 sign miracles to show that Jesus is the Son of God and wants us to believe in him. And before I do that, for those who are Thais, I have the gist of the message in Thai, and I'll give you after some time, because if I give you now, you'll be looking at this and you will not be listening. So, we saw, what we saw is that the first miracle, the water into wine. The wine runs out, Jesus makes water into wine, and what that shows us is that it's like you having a birthday party, except this is like birthdays you have every time, a wedding you have once in a lifetime. So you have this great birthday party and you run out of food, and it'll be very shameful for you. So Jesus saves this young couple from shame. Okay, please don't show that. I will move it from here. Yes. Yeah. Jesus saves this young couple from shame because they've run out of wine. So, and then the next thing also, it's like this. He forgets his own itinerary, his own schedule, and he looks after yours. It's like you're a teacher. Most of you are teachers, and you get a job in a fantastic school, and you're ready to move, but one of your fellow teachers in the old school says, please, don't move. If you go, I'll be all alone here. And then you leave your plans to move to this wonderful school and you stay back. You leave your own plan, you leave your own itinerary, and you stay back. That's what Jesus said. This is not my time. It's not my time. It's not the time to do a miracle now here, but he did it. And then another thing we learned lesson over there is Jesus gave the good wine and not the bad wine. So, we think if we come to Jesus, it's going to be terrible. He'll take all pleasures away. My life will be miserable. And that's the biggest lie that the enemy has. That's the biggest lie that the devil, the hordes of hell, the demons, the powers that are rallied against God. That's the biggest lie in the world, is that if we come to Jesus, Jesus is going to give us a hard time. He didn't give a bad wine. He didn't turn the water into something else. He turned it into excellent wine. I've known of people, when I was growing up, they were smarter, brighter than me, and I thought they would go and follow Jesus, but they chose a government job and very secure. Now I'm 67, I'll be 68 tomorrow, and they've finished their term with the government. And you know what they are doing now? They've come back to church now, church service, This is what's giving them satisfaction. So many people. There was one good friend of mine, there are 3 brothers, and I told you the story before, and 2 of them became believers. They were kicked by the elder brother who had a business in the Middle East, and the brother shifted his family to UK. He had a cinema hall, he had other things. Then he shifted his family to the US, and at the end of his life, what he did? He came back to South India to be with his 2 brothers, and what he found satisfaction in going from door to door, sharing the message that his 2 brothers were sharing, the ones that he kicked out before. Because if you come to the end of life, you're not going to take your riches away. You got to think of where you're going next, and that's what he found satisfaction. So the first miracle showed that. The second miracle is healing the nobleman's son. It's like, Russia and Ukraine are fighting, and this Russian father comes, to a Ukrainian doctor and says, please come, my son is dying, please come. And the Ukrainian, even though his people are being battered or, bombed, he goes to help the Russian father save his son. That's what Jesus did. The official was a high official from the ruling government, which was against the party. They were giving a hard time. They were oppressing the Jews. And Jesus chose to heal him over a distance, Yeah. And the third thing is water into wine, sun is fine, man is healed. Healed after 38 years. Of all the people that Jesus could choose, he chose somebody who was there probably the longest time and the one that least deserved, because he was not a good guy. He just put Jesus right in front of the train, as it were. He's the guy. Go after him. Right? So it's not how good we are. Jesus chooses us, looks at the neediest, and he doesn't take into consideration whether we are against him or for him. He chooses because he loves us. And now we come over here to the fourth miracle. So this is some of the things over here, and I will give these to. Would you please give it to the Thai? Those who can read Thai over there. The thing with the notes is every time I study, I keep changing. So there will be some things that are changed because as I study, God reveals more things, from His Word. The Spirit of God reveals more things, so I keep changing. Yes. Okay. The fourth miracle. The fourth miracle, as I look at it, it shows how people tend to solve the problems, the needs that they have. And there are four ways to solve the four ways to solve problems. There is the way of Philip, we'll note in this section. And there is the way of Andrew, he has a solution. And there's the way of the disciples, they also have a way to solve the problem. And there is the way of Christ. So let's look at the passage as such. Would you please stand up and we will read this passage of scripture together. And as we read, try to figure out what was the solution Philip had, what was the solution Andrew had, what was the solution the disciples had, which is another gospel, and what was the solution Jesus had. Shall we read together? After this, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. And a large crowd was following him, because they saw the signs that he was doing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand. Lifting up his eyes then, and seeing that a large crowd was coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat?" He said this to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread would not be enough for each one of them to get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they for so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, about 5,000 in number. Jesus then took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. So also the fish, as much as they wanted. When they had eaten their fill, he told his disciples, "Gather up the leftover fragments, that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they said, "This indeed the prophet who is to come into the world."
Perceiving then that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, Jesus withdrew again into the mountain by himself.
Please be seated. The way of Philip. To Philip, this need of 5,000, actually it says about 5,000 men. There were boys also, because the boy had the fish, So there was at least one boy. People say that they may have been, double or 4 times that amount of people there, beside the men. There were women, the children. And so we don't know, but we say about 5,000 men. And so the way to solve the problem for Philip was money, and I have money. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it's a question of money. Do we have enough money? We have enough money, we can solve the problem. And Philip figured that it was going to cost a lot of money, so buying bread was out of the question. So Jesus asked, where is the place? And he's not even looking at the place. He's just looking at the, oh, that much, 8 months salary, we'll just give, one, French fry each, so it's not enough, okay, out of the question. That's Philip over there. Okay. Can be solved. We don't have enough money. It's going to cost a lot. The way of Andrew. So Andrew didn't look at his pocket. He looked at who could help, And he already saw that there was a boy with 5 fish and 2 little fish. I don't think it was live big fish. It's probably like a little, whatever you put in the bread and you eat, So 5 cheap loaves and 2 fish. So he's looking at people to solve the problems. And so that's the way of Andrew. Now, how did the disciples look at solving the problem? And that is found in Matthew's gospel, not here. And the way of the disciples is not to solve it at all. Send the people away. Let them solve it by themselves. Now, when it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a desolate place, and the day now is over. Send the crowds away to go into the villages to buy food for themselves." So look at the word, send them away and let them take care of themselves. It's not a headache. So 3 different ways to solve. First is we don't have enough money, it's going to cost a lot, and it's no way. Second is, let's see if there is somebody here who can help us. Is there a person? And they found just one boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish. And then we see the disciples. The disciples said, can do. It's not a problem. And folks, isn't this the way we try to solve problems? We look at it, we think it's a money problem, first of all. Everybody, it's money. If I have enough money, I can solve the problem. And I've heard it said, I don't know if it's true or not, but the richest man, somebody asked him, when will you be satisfied? And he said, when I get that extra dollar, when I get one more extra dollar. The richest man. You look at all the rich millionaires and billionaires, you think they have, most of them have shut their business and they're just relaxing? No. The billionaire wants to be a multi-billionaire. Millionaire wants to be a billionaire. The one who's got some money wants to be a millionaire, So it's very easy to be a millionaire, you know what? Just go over to Cambodia and change your Thai bahts. And you get this much, I remember going to Myanmar once and we needed to change, dollars. And, I was literally carrying the kyat in a backpack, for a conference in a backpack. It was full. I was a kyat millionaire. It's nothing. You can all be. I don't think it takes too much to be a kyat millionaire. But anyway, so they think it's money. And sometimes we look at people. Oh, this person, maybe he can solve this problem. Oh, Mama Coco, maybe Mama Coco has money. She can solve my problem. Oh, maybe, who's that? Jacob can solve my problem. Or a fear. We look at people. Maybe this person can help solve a problem. But then we are like the disciples. Most times we don't want to be involved. That's their problem. Your problem. Why should I be involved? Let them solve it by themselves. It's not my problem. And then we have the way of Jesus. Jesus said, they need not go away. You give them something to eat. You don't have anything. You don't have anything, but he's saying, you give them something to eat. To Jesus, we are the answer. It's not money. It's not people. It's not wishing the need away. But it is the little we have and the power of God. That is the secret. The little we have and the power of God. Some of you haven't heard this story, but there was a guy, very little education, jobless. The only thing open for him was what I offered, free training to be a driver. So he took that. Couldn't find a job. I got him a job in a bakery. He drove in a bakery. He lived in a mud house, rented with thatch, bamboo and thatch. That's where he lived in. Cheapest place possible. With his salary, he bought a frying pan and oil. That's what he could afford. 3 stones, made wood fire, put the oil, bought some flour, and made it into little things that he could fry. And when the bakery truck went, he drove, he also sold that. That's the only thing he could do. Now, he owns a bakery, he employs 26 people. He just took a trip to Israel. Every time I go, he has a nice car. He says, "Sir, this is for you to drive when you are in town." His best car. He's got 6 vehicles. Last 4 years ago, he had 6 vehicles. Guy who had nothing. Little. And the power of God. You know, a long time ago, when I went to Canada, the only job they offered me was cleaning the bathroom. Cleaning the bathroom. I just cleaned for 1 month. My work was so good that they promoted me. And I never cleaned the bathroom again. I went to America, went to this postgraduate school. The only job they had was again vacuuming and cleaning toilets. You know, I just did it for about a month or 2 months. I never did it again. After 2 months, I became the supervisor. Over 30 people, 8 years senior, doctoral students from all over the world. I was the supervisor. Why? The little that I could do, I did the best I could. The way of Jesus, taking the little we have to God in prayer and asking for His help. Some of us will miss our opportunities at greatness, of seeing a miracle like the 5,000. You know why we will miss it? Because something that is right in front of us, we think it's so little, it's so insignificant. It's not important at all. So we miss it. We're always looking for something bigger. What is the big thing I can do? Whereas God is testing us, like Philip, He's just testing us. And He will say, are you going to do the best with the little that you have? And we all have little. There's always something little in front of us. God invariably puts us there. That's God's test of whether we are going to do the best we can, even if it's a dirty job like cleaning the bathroom. And that's a dirty job, cleaning the commodes. He's watching and saying, how are you going to do the best? That's the test I was put in, cleaning toilets in Canada for 1 month and cleaning 2 months. The first semester ended, they called me and they said, the supervisor's post is yours. And why? It's because you do the job like no others. You do the best. You do beyond the call of duty. I mentioned yesterday, going the second mile. Most of us, we just do clean this, we just clean it, oh, finish. But the one who goes to the second mile will not only clean this, will clean this, will clean this, wow, that's going the second mile. So, my question is this, what is your need? There's a big thing in front of you that looks impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible to beat 5,000 without the power of God. God's power is there, but He's not going to force it and boom, something like that's going to happen. No. God is looking at you and seeing whether you are going to do that little that is in front of you. Final slide here. The question to ask ourselves from this feeding of the 5,000, one of the questions we ask ourselves is, Do we have the compassion that Jesus had? You know, all of us, what we want is we want to be near people who don't curse, who don't smoke, who don't drink, who don't do bad things, who are good people, you know. That's exactly opposite of Jesus. I'm sorry to say, you know, Jesus was always going to people who are not good, you know, tax collectors, hated people, cheating people, you know, oppressing people, questionable people, friends of, you know, drunkards and gluttons, friends of the sinners. Because why? He had compassion. He had compassion. I'm glad Jennifer shared what we shared, because we do morning every Monday to Friday, 6 to 6:15 we meet for prayer on Zoom. And what I shared is this, that Jesus said all power is given to him on heaven and on earth. And he said, I'm with you always. So Jesus has all the power and with us always, and then he says, go. But you know why nothing happens? Because we stay. Instead of go, we are so fearful of the unknown. We are fearful of the people who are crooks and bad people. We term as sinners and people who are unworthy of our attention. We don't. But that's where God focuses, those people. And he says, all power is mine, and I'm with you, go. And when we go, things happen. Try that. Try that this week. Are we like Philip? Money. If I have enough money, I can solve my problem. You'll find there are more problems come. You know the people who won lotteries, the millions? The one in India said he wants to run away now because everyone is after him. All his cousins and his lost long, relatives are all after him. So he's got so much disturbance and problems that he wants to run away. He wished that he never got all those people who win miracles. I heard they land up the millions they win in lotteries. I heard they land up in a terrible state. I don't know, but somebody has said it happens like that. And why some of us fail to meet needs is because we don't look at the little that's in front of us. So I advise you, as we go to prayer now, that you look at your problem. What is your big problem? What is the impossible situation facing you? Salary, education, health, relatives. What is your problem? What's the big problem facing you? God is able. God just wants the little that you can do, but give it all you've got. The little boy had just 5 loaves and 2 fish, and he didn't say, I'll give you one, I'll give you 4 loaves and 1 fish, and let me keep this, 1 loaf and 1 fish for myself. He gave that 5 loaves and the 2. He gave his all. The insignificant person among all the grown-ups, among all that's going on, he gave. And so we may be insignificant, but if the little that we have, we give it all, we will see the power of God displayed in our lives. May God help you to take the little and to go to Him in prayer.
Thank you, Pastor Rai.